And we are back with another episode of From the Rafters. Sam and I are here recording on Thursday, April 14th. Celtics finally know who they're going to play, Sam, and I'm not surprised. You're not surprised. Nobody's surprised. But Boston Celtics versus Brooklyn Nets in round one. We can dive right into it. How are you feeling?
Not surprised and not thrilled. Nobody really wanted this. It's cool for us because we have a lot plenty to talk about. But in terms of doesn't mean me saying this does not mean they're going to lose by any means. They could very easily win,
Yeah.
but it's going to be one of those things. But when we go into the show, Jack, I urge you to play the most wonderful time of the year because that's what this is. I love the playoffs. This is my favorite time of the year, but it's also the most stressful time of the year, as Christmas is for other people that care about Christmas and giving gifts to others. Why would you do that?
Sicko. You're a
And
sicko.
but yeah, it's obviously very stressful regardless of who you're playing. And then you play one of the best players in the league, probably the best player in the league in the first round.
Yeah.
And you've got all these variables in the series that you don't know what's happening with this and that, and which we will talk about. But oh geez. And also I hope the Cavs lose tomorrow. You just, you don't get the job done, you don't deserve to be in. But if you really want to dive into it, we can start here. That Cavs game does not impress me.
No.
They shot the lights out in the first quarter, but then they were up 20, and then they won by 5.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Bruce Brown played about as good as they could possibly play, and they won by 5.
Yeah, against the Cavs, who are not good.
Yeah.
Which I told you, I'm not sure if it was here or the pregame one time, but I was like, dude, the Cavs, if they play Celtics, will get swept. That team,
Yeah, no, I agree.
looked bad. The only guys that looked like they were worth a damn were Garland and Mobley. Levert was horrible. Markkanen was horrible. Actually,
their
Rondo was not
defense,
bad.
slightly defense, they were also missing an all-star. They were, in fact, missing an
Well,
all-star.
I'm saying with who played and who probably would play in the playoffs, they are not good.
Mhm. There is some rumors that Jared Allen could return tomorrow night, as we're recording this tonight, as you're hearing this.
He could have played Wednesday then, or Tuesday, whatever it was. He could have played.
Regardless, I think Trae Young is going to handle them swiftly and just send him back. And if I'm being honest, I think Trae is.
I think that's what the NBA would want to.
At this point, I don't think this is not what we're talking about, but I think Trae Young could take a game or two from Miami as well. I just think he's that good.
Yeah, we'll see.
But
we will see.
As far as Celtics Nets goes, the way I see it, and obviously I'm a little biased. I mean, we're both biased. It is what it is.
You want to talk about bias? Here you go, brother.
Right? My point is
pointing at myself for those of you just listening.
The Nets and the Celtics are built in a very similar way in the fact that here's our two guys that will score the ball, and here is the rest. The difference is the Celtics quote unquote rest is just eons better than what the Nets have as their rest, right? You got KD equating to Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown somewhat equating to Kyrie Irving. I don't know if I said Kyrie twice. You know what I'm saying? KD, Kyrie, Jason, Jaylen. Sure. KD is better than Jason Tatum, and Kyrie Irving is better than Jaylen Brown. But if you asked any NBA executive, any NBA scout, any NBA fan, if they would rather have a backup lineup of Patty Mills, Nick Claxton, and Bruce Brown, or Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White, it's not close. Never going to be close. On top of that, I put out something on Twitter. It was in like the Enjoy Basketball community, so it didn't go out to like public Twitter. I posed this question. I see a lot of people being scared of the Nets in Celtics land, and I'll ask you this: how is a top 10 offense with a bottom 10 defense going to beat a top 10 offense with the number 1 defense?
Well,
someone came back at me. Someone came back at me and said, "Oh, look at the last 2 weeks of the season. The Nets were 9th defensively, and the Celtics were only 8th." I'm like, congratulations. Like, that doesn't sure, maybe they'll have a couple good defensive games. They gave up 130 points to the Pacers in their last game of the season.
They did
in a game that they needed to
win.
Game
that I watched.
That was not a game that was like, "Oh, throw away. This one doesn't matter." That was a game they were trying adamantly to win, and they gave up 130 to the Pacers. And the Celtics have a better offense than the Pacers. And anyways,
I will say this. The reason why they are ranked bottom of the league in defense is because of the inconsistent group that they have had all season. There was plenty of time. Well, they lost. They went a whole month without winning when Durant was out. Durant,
Mhm.
who is a decent defender, he's long. He's going to create issues. He had 3 blocks against the Cavs the other day. Um, he's a big help. Ben Simmons could come back, which we can get into later in full
Yep.
capacity if you would like, but that could help them. Bruce Brown has been a good defender. These are individuals. It's not a team thing for them like it is the Celtics. The Celtics are a well-oiled machine. And it's kind of funny, speaking of them being, so coherent as a unit, watching the Cavs, seeing their defense, and for me to notice, like, wow, like they're trying to do what the Celtics do, but they can't do it.
Mhm.
Like, oh my gosh, you could see they were trying to switch and they couldn't figure it out. There was bad communication.
Yep.
Guys were getting wide open lanes. I mean, Bruce Brown and Claxton there were playing 2-on-1 in the whole fourth quarter. Yeah, they would
Yeah.
get the ball to Bruce Brown off the roll and he would throw it up.
Bruce
I mean,
Brown, the
near
the
triple
guy,
double.
the main man thinking he can attack the Celtics front court. I assume you saw the quote.
I did, and Durant did not like it. Bruce Brown,
Bozo.
who uh, is on the wish list for me. I would
I
love to
love
see
Bruce
Bruce
Brown.
Brown.
He's so great. I think he plays
As
great
a
basketball.
local
Mhm.
player, I would love to see him play for the Celtics. Is his contract actually up after this season, or was that a guess?
Nope, I believe it is. I think he actually took a league minimum deal to return to the Nets this year, so maybe he does something similar again. But
Maybe
yeah,
he gets
he's
a
you're not a league minimum. He
potential
took their
MLE
MLE. He's
from
making
the
4.7 this
Celtics.
year, and he's got nothing.
I would
He
love
could.
to see
Yeah,
him
he
play.
could. He's
He
a
would
free
fit
agent.
perfect. I mean, that's what he does. He plays defense. He'd be excellent. But yes, he said he could go
Yeah,
right
I
at
agree.
Tyson Horford.
Bozo. That's just that's dumb. Like I don't have like a nicer word to say about it. I put out the stats like since Robert Williams went down out of two-man lineups that have played any sort of like defensive minutes together, any sort of like substantial minutes, Horford and Tice have the best defensive rating. Opponents shoot 42% against them. Sure, the paint numbers go up a little bit, but like it's not like you're not going to replicate Robert Williams, but they still have a better defensive front court than the Nets by a mile. Like it was ignorant of him to say that, and I think KD understands that that was stupid because now the Celtics have bulletin board material, which we all know is crucial in the playoffs. I don't know what he was thinking with that one. That like plus, and we can get into this too. We still don't know if Robert Williams is going to come back in the first round or not. Like he could very well be back by game 5. Woj reported it. Steve Bulpett reported it. Brad Stevens said we're going to take it careful, but
Yeah, Brad Stevens contradicting those reports today on the radio. Did you get a chance to see what he said or listen to it?
no, I
So
didn't
he
hear
went
the
on
exact
Toucher and
quote.
Rich this morning. It's Thursday as we're recording this. He said, Rob has not done any contact drills yet. He's not up to full speed yet. He kind of downplayed it, says he's on that original timetable, as
Well, that's what he
Brad
would
tends
do.
to do. Yes,
Well,
exactly. There you go.
game 5 would be the original timetable. After game 5 is 4 weeks.
We'll see.
So, you never
It's
know. It could be the
it's
shorter end and
it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see it. Obviously, having Rob back is huge, and it was one of the reasons why a lot of people, including myself, didn't really want to play the Nets in this round because you want to make sure you're at full strength by the time you're playing tough competition. I mean, you can't really beat around the bush. Like, this is probably the best team you could have played in the first round.
yeah, out
They,
of
they're
all the
better than
potential matchups.
Toronto, despite Toronto being hot for the last month or so.
I'd
You
rather
know,
play the Nets than Toronto though.
I would too because we don't have to talk about anything. We don't have to talk about
Mhm.
any of the crap. But
Yeah.
yes, I mean, it's not ideal, but it's doable. It's absolutely doable. I mean, you beat them a month ago, and you played excellent. They played good.
Mhm.
Was it you that posted it? That I mean, I saw somebody on Twitter posted that Hawks game that Brooklyn lost. Durant and Irving combined for 86 points, and they lost the game. Like
They
that
can't defend.
is,
They don't
yeah,
play
that
defense.
is exactly it. If you want something to hang your hat on, look no further than that game because
I I said that. Like they can put up 100 points between the two of them, and all the Celtics have to do is score 110 and they win the game. Like they're not going to get much production from anybody outside of KD and Kyrie, and if they do, it'll be like, KD and Kyrie will score 30 apiece, Patty Mills will score 15, Bruce Brown to score 10. And what? That's 60, 75, 85 plus whatever the rest of the crew scrounges up. Like they'll put up points because they have a good offense. But if they give up 120 points every night, that's not going to matter. Like it's just plus the Nets like they beat the Cavs by that much with the score. What was the final score? Like 114, 116, or
They didn't
114,
even put up an
106, something like that.
astronomical amount of points. They went
Whatever.
out and did not miss in the first quarter. Claxton made a jump shot near the 3-point line to end the quarter,
Mhm.
and they only scored like 60-ish points for the rest of the game.
And the Celtics have a better defense than the Cavaliers,
Yeah,
even
the
without
Cavs are
Robert
like
Williams.
bad.
They
I'm
have a
I'm
good
saying about it.
defense. They have a good
They
defense.
were horrible in that game.
Yes.
Two
They
players
played
played
bad.
2.5. Rondo had a decent game. Played well for them. Markkanen
Mhm.
horrible. Levert horrible.
Mhm.
Osman was non-existent. All these guys, and then people are saying the Nets, they may have flipped a switch, which they very
K-Love was
well.
alright.
Love
I'm
was
just
good
thinking.
too. He deserves it. He deserves credit. Um, but people are saying, the Nets could flip a switch defensively, which they could. They could. But in that Cavs game against a team with not a lot of offensive weapons, the Celtics are much more well equipped on offense. They really didn't. I mean, they almost lost. They gave up almost 110 points, I think. I don't know what the final was. I
Mhm.
forget.
Nets, Cavs score. I think it was 106, 114, 108, 115. It was close.
Okay, so almost 110 points they gave up.
My thing is, and I'm gonna keep saying it, the Nets aren't going to put up 120 every night. Like everyone's
I hope
looking at
not.
that one singular Celtics game, like where the Tatum had to put up 54 to win. I understand that Kyrie and KD are good, and yes, they can have good games for however many, but that's not the case for the rest of the roster. Like even if Kyrie and KD went astronomical, and hell, let's say they average 40 for the series and they don't miss, Patty Mills isn't going to shoot 10 of 10 every night from three. Like,
Mm.
I'm sorry. And if I jinx this, I'm sorry, but that's just not how basketball works. Like, he's not going to shoot, perfect from three for the entire series. Bruce Brown is going to be good, but he's not going to put up a triple double every night, right? Like, even if Kyrie and KD combine for 80, average 80 on the series, the rest of their roster isn't good enough to average the other 40.
Yeah,
That's just
that's the real
like,
point.
that's how it is. And even if they do, get better on the defensive side of the ball, even if the Nets are the best defense they can possibly be, they're still nowhere close to what the Celtics are defensively. Even at their absolute peak, they're not what the Celtics are defensively. Through the second half of the season, the Celtics were the best defense in the NBA by a landslide, not even close, like the best. And yes, they fell off when Robert Williams got hurt, but even at the Nets peak, they're not as good as the Celtics defensively without Robert Williams, and I stand by that. And every day of the week.
Well, there you have it. Uh,
Like I understand the concept, and they did it last year. They played all right defense in the playoffs last year. They're worse this year. They are a worse basketball team this year than they were last year,
That's true. 100%
right?
true.
And
And the
all these
Celtics
net,
are much better than they were last year. I
and
mean,
I need to
somebody
put an end to
posted the
that
box
too.
score from
Yeah,
last year's series. It's like Romeo playing significant minutes, Neesmith
Jabari
getting
Parker,
significant, Jamari Parker. Remember
Tristan
we last year
Thompson, Evan Fournier.
we were talking about Jabari Parker being an excellent player, which he was. He was very good when he did play.
Yes,
I thought he made an impact. He did well.
he was
More
solid.
power to him. But he was an important player in that series for the Celtics. You serious? I mean, now it's remarkable the job Brad has done improving the depth on this team, and the players on the team deserve credit as well. Obviously, Tatum and Brown have taken a step up. Smart has improved this season. Peyton Pritchard has been excellent. Like they brought in Horford. Tice has been excellent since he came back. Rob Williams had a monster season before he got hurt. I mean, Grant, all these guys have improved or have been brought in by Brad. Like it's a collaborative effort all around, and it has made things much, much easier for
Let
these
me let me
guys
break
up
it
at the
down.
top.
Let me break it down. The
And
Celtics
Jalen Brown didn't play in that series last year.
exactly. Last season when the Nets beat the Celtics in 5, by the way, not even a sweep, in 5 games,
which is
The
remarkable.
Celtics started 6 different players throughout the entirety of the series. 6 different players. 4 of those 6 players are no longer on the team.
Right.
66% of the players they started in the series last year that all these Nets fans are pointing at and saying, "Look what we did last year," are no longer on the Celtics. Jaylen Brown, who is an all-star caliber player, it was an all-star last year, did not play a single game. Kemba Walker, who started 2 of the games, was so the Knicks thought he was so bad this year that he is no longer with the team. Evan Fournier couldn't shoot unless he was playing the Celtics this year. He started some
Yes.
games. Romeo Langford got traded and he hasn't done anything on the Spurs. He
And
started some
he
games.
was not playing before the trade.
Tristan Thompson's played for 3 different rosters this year because he can't land anywhere. And now he's in Chicago, whose defense is horrible. I don't know what we're expecting here. Jason Tatum got better since last year. 100%. I stand by that. Marcus Smart got better from last year. 100%. Then you're replacing Tristan Thompson with Al Horford, which is just an infinite upgrade. You're replacing Romeo Langford with Derek White, which is just an
Who has been
infinite
excellent.
upgrade. Yep. You're
Especially lately,
replacing
he's been excellent. His
you're
shooting has
replacing
been much better.
Jabari Parker with Grant Williams's improvements, which is just again skyrocket. You're replacing who did they have off the bench last year for a center? Rob? Was it Rob? No, Rob started.
Rob was out in that series.
Yeah, Rob
He
was
had
out. So
turf
who
toe.
came off the bench?
Cornette was probably one of them. They played
Cornette.
Parker at center at times.
So you're replacing Cornette with Daniel Tice. Upgrade. Easy, right?
Well, Tice, I think, is going to start and should start in this series until Rob's back.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So then Peyton Pritchard is replacing Peyton Pritchard. I guess he played. Did he play?
But
He probably played in the series.
he's got a more
Better.
defined role this year, and he's been knocked down from
Yeah.
three.
And that's all of that. I said all of that without even mentioning the fact that Jaylen Brown is back.
Yes.
Like, I didn't even use him in my comparisons. That's you're adding an all-star on top of all of those upgrades. Then you look at the Brooklyn Nets. KD and Kyrie still there, sure. You don't have
Mm.
James Harden. You're losing your all-star. Love or hate James Harden, whatever. All-star MVP caliber player last year, right? Not this year. Last year, he was
I
that.
think he's
He
better
was
than
that.
Kyrie too. So if you had to pick between the two of them, and you
Mhm.
kept the latter, you kept the third one.
So, yeah, sure. You have Seth Curry. Now, half of Seth Curry on his bum leg, you'll have Seth Curry. You have Andre Drummond, who is bad. He's whatever. He's a big body. Sure. That's great. Good for you. You have Nick Claxton, who's better. You have Bruce Brown still. You don't have Blake Griffin because he's played himself
He's
off the court.
watching. He's watching the
Yep.
games.
Patty Mills is an upgrade. I'll give you that. There you go,
Aldridge
Patty
is
Mills.
also watching the games. He's not
Yep.
playing.
Watching, not playing. Let me look at this Nets roster that played. I just don't understand how people look at these rosters and make the comparison.
They're
Oh, look,
missing
the
Joe
Nets beat them
Harris, which
last
is a
year.
big piece for them.
Yep. No Joe Harris. No Joe Harris. No Jeff Green, who played phenomenally in that first round series against the Celtics, by the
You
way.
bet your ass.
No Landry Shamet, who shot the lights out. You're replacing Landry Shamet for Seth Curry, which would be an upgrade if Seth Curry weren't injured. You're replacing Jeff Green with Patty Mills, which is just not a correct positional upgrade. You're replacing Blake Griffin with no, but they don't have forwards. How are they going to guard the Celtics' length? They don't have enough forwards. Like Bruce Brown is a good defender, but he's 6'5". They just I don't understand why I fully get that the Nets could make a run in the series because they have arguably I won't say that. They have the best player in the series and the third best player in the series. I won't argue that. But they're not a better team than the Celtics, and it's not close. It's not close. People are so caught up in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and so caught up in last year that they forget that the Celtics have lost what? 9 games since the start of the new year, right? It baffles me. What is Kyrie and Katie's record together this year? It's probably good, but
Jack,
Kyrie
we have some breaking news at 12:25 on Thursday. ESPN reporting Ben Simmons is targeting games 4, 5, and 6 as a return. So we will not be back for the first 3 games.
Where do you see that?
Excellent. Legion Hoops.
Hmm.
It was sent to me by a friend.
Asian who? Interesting.
So I coming into the pod was concerned with that because
Hmm.
that's somebody they could throw at Tatum and have him chase him around. If I'm Brooklyn, I'm I think they're handling it correctly, and I'll tell you why. Is if you wanted Simmons to come back and play Sunday or Wednesday next week for games 1 or 2, for a guy that's a head case, you really don't want him starting making his first debut, whatever, since leaving Philadelphia because they were mean to him in a hostile environment where he's going to touch the ball and the whole arena will say shoot because they don't think he can shoot. Like I wouldn't be surprised if we want Ben Simmons chance at the Garden. People are out on him. I'm not one of those people. I mean, let me rephrase that. I think he's a bum, but I think them getting him back is helpful because we discussed already their weak point is defense. That's what he does. So it would be helpful for their Achilles heel there if he was back. He'd be there to chase around Tatum. He has size. And it would make things easier on KD because he wouldn't have to do that.
I understand that in theory, but I feel like it's definitely not that easy to just throw somebody into a defensive game plan and say go. Right? Like that's just you can't just they have to change everything around him. Not to mention
I hope
the
you're right.
god awful issues they'd have offensively. You're sacrificing offensive flow, which is the whole reason people like this team for like a defensive player of the year caliber player on the defensive end. Yes. But like those Philly teams had defenders around Ben. It's not like it was just Ben as the only good defender. The Brooklyn team won't, right? Like they'll have if I'm Brooklyn, the best lineup I can put together is Kyrie, Bruce Brown, KD, Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton. That's my go-to lineup. If I'm
If
Steve
I'm
Nash.
if I'm Steve Nash, I'm going Kyrie, Bruce, Seth Curry, KD, Simmons. And Simmons will play center. I'm not putting Simmons out there with a rim runner, another one. Your spacing will be garbage.
Well then who guards like the Celtics two big men? And I know Tice isn't
One
all
of them.
that, but
Simmons
okay,
well,
but
that's
if you say
true.
Simmons on Tatum,
Yeah.
then how the hell is that going to work?
They'll figure something out. I'm sure they will, but
On top of that, our whole thing with Ben Simmons is he's good if you let him play make, right? That's Ben Simmons. Who are you taking the ball? Whose hands are you taking the ball out of to put it in Ben Simmons' hands?
KD because well, I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I'm saying if you're doing that, that's whose hands you're taking it out of because he's been
So
the playmaker. Him and
they're
Bruce
gonna
Brown.
re they're gonna reshape the offense in 5 games to allow it. By the way, he's what is it 4, 5, and 6? He's returning.
Mm,
Who's to say the Celtics aren't up 2-1, 3-0 at that point,
I
right?
sure
Like
would like that.
realistically speaking,
I'll tell you what.
I think the Celtics. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what. They better blow them out Sunday, the Celtics, because I don't want to hear. Wow, that game was close. Wait till Ben Simmons comes back. I don't want to hear they lost to Brooklyn and Ben Simmons isn't back yet. I don't want to hear that. I want them to come out, and they should obviously want to too. I mean, they're getting paid for it, but come out, make a statement. That's what you should do. That's what you should do. You're at home. It's Easter. I'll be there Wednesday, by the way. Me and the old
Mhm.
man hitting the streets, making the trip up. We will be there. It'll be fun. Can't wait.
And
But
simultaneously, I understand Ben Simmons is amazing. He has not played organized basketball in a year. 1 year, and the last time we saw him play organized basketball, he passed up a layup and shot 30% from the free throw line.
yeah,
Yes, he's a good defender. He was bad. The last time we saw him play basketball, he was objectively terrible. And everyone expects him to be the difference between the 7 seeded Nets and the 2 seeded Celtics, who are also missing their defensive player of the year caliber big man.
mm.
I don't get it. Maybe I'm ignorant, and I understand KD and Kyrie are good, and I understand Ben Simmons is an all-star caliber player. Both teams are missing defensive player of the year candidates. Before he got injured, Robert Williams was a defensive player of the year candidate, was he not?
Yes. Yeah, no, he was.
So,
He was.
I'm not dumb. Ben Simmons is better than Robert Williams. He is. He's a better player. But in terms of fit, how this team is played, they're effectively both missing that defensive presence they are lacking. Ben Simmons isn't going to do shit on offense. He's just not.
Mm.
He's going to hurt them offensively. Robert Williams is a plus on offense. So I understand Ben Simmons is the better player, but for what their teams need, I think Robert Williams coming back will be a bigger impact maker than Ben Simmons coming back.
Oh, I don't think I'm disagreeing with you on that. I think Rob is like the perfect fit. We've seen it. He was a big piece of that juggernaut run the Celtics had for the last 3 months.
Yep.
I just think if Simmons comes back, you're going to have it's going to throw a wrench into things a little bit on both sides, maybe, but it makes things harder for the Celtics, in my opinion. I just don't think it's going to be, like I'm all for making fun of the guy. I think he deserves to be made fun of. I think he does a lot of stupid things. I think him sitting out and saying they were mean to me in Philly, so I'm not going to play here anymore was stupid. But his calling card is defense. This Brooklyn team is not good at defense. You made a good point. Like, okay, I personally think that they should play Simmons at center and call it a day. But then, who's going to guard the Celtics bigs? That I'm sure they'll have to figure out. But having him back makes it easier on Durant defensively, in my opinion, and that'll help him offensively.
I talked about this in something that I wrote recently as well. Did you read the Ime Udoka piece? I didn't finish it, but I read most of it from The Athletic.
No, I don't have the. I don't pay for that.
That's fine. So basically, the biggest quote I took from it was Ime Udoka is trying to have the Celtics zig while the rest of the NBA zags. Right? He's going into defense and playmaking and length while the rest of the NBA is playing small ball, shoot a lot of threes, go through stars, stuff like that. Right? They're doing
Mm.
everything opposite. If I had to guess, the playoffs is a time where teams go to their stars, right? The Jazz will go through Donovan Mitchell more than they usually do. The Nets will go through KD and Kyrie more than they usually do. The Bucks will run through Giannis more than they usually do. Things funnel through the stars. I don't think the Celtics are going to do that. I don't think they're going to change the way they play basketball just because it is a week after the regular season ended. I think
I hope
they're
not.
going to continue to play the same team-oriented basketball that has allowed Jason Tatum to be better, that has allowed Marcus Smart to be better, that has allowed Jalen Brown to be better, that has allowed all these people to be better in the playoffs. And I think that's what's going to make it so special because if they go to that 1v1 basketball where it's just Jason Tatum trying to make a play, which is what a lot of teams do, then the Nets have a chance to stop him. KD's a great defender. Ben Simmons is a phenomenal defender. So if he comes back, you can stick one of them on Jason Tatum and shut his ISOs down. But if the Celtics are playing team offense, the Nets are a bad defensive team. They have, like you said, they have good defensive players, but they are a bad defensive team. The Celtics have great defensive players and are an elite defensive team. So not only do they have the manpower to stick on KD and Kyrie to slow them down, they also have the backup plans to stop the rest of the roster and also stop KD and Kyrie when they eventually do get past the people that are guarding them one on one. If Jason Tatum gets past Ben Simmons, because I mean Ben Simmons is a good defender, but Jason Tatum's an elite offensive player, who's stopping Tatum at the rim? Nick Claxton? Maybe once in a while, but Tatum's gonna foul him out of the game. Like, Andre Drummond's gonna foul out in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Like he's gonna be gone.
So will
Right?
Tice.
Right, right. Okay, sure. So will Tice, but then, I mean, Claxton versus Horford. Take your pick. It just again. Obviously, I'm biased.
Mm.
Obviously, You can say I'm a homer, whatever. These Celtics are a better defensive team than the Nets are at their peak, and the Celtics aren't even at their peak. I think the Celtics with Daniel Tice instead of Robert Williams because of the injury is still better than the Nets defensively with Ben Simmons in the lineup. Hell, even with Ben Simmons fully integrated into the lineup, which he won't be, by the way, again, let me say, he hasn't played basketball in a year, and the last time he did, he was bad. I don't get it. And I understand you got to respect the Nets because they have stars. Celtics in 6 every day, twice on Sundays.
I
I
hope
don't
you're
think it's
right.
close.
I hope you're right.
I
I
I'm
also
really
hope
not afraid.
to swing back to the Ime piece there. I hope that they don't go through the stars in the playoffs. I hope they stick to what's worked that for them because the Celtics were bad when they were trying to do that. They were
Mhm.
bad. We were not we, but Twitter, Celtics fans on Twitter, some people, oh, you're gonna break those guys up. They can't play together. All that stuff was happening when they were trying to play through the stars. Once they just started playing as a team, that all went away. The guys still got their numbers. They still played excellent. Jalen Brown put up 25 plus points in 10 straight games or something down the stretch here. Like he was fantastic. Tatum was balling out. One player of the month, player of the week, like 3 weeks in a row,
And then
whatever.
he didn't win player of the month, by the way. How crazy is
Who
that?
cares? I don't care. The only award I care
I
about is
know, I
Smart
know.
winning the defensive player of the award, just because I
Which
think he deserves
it
it.
it looks pretty good. Have you seen the numbers?
Yeah, but I don't know what how many more votes are there? How many people still have to vote? I don't get it.
I don't know, but Smart has, like, double the votes of
He
Mikal
does,
Bridges
yeah.
right now, so it's looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's the only award I care if one of the guys wins, just because I think he wholeheartedly deserves it. He doesn't really get recognized a lot on a national level. Well, he's started to now that people are talking about it, but before that, nobody's really talked about him. Everyone said he's a bomb, this, that. Um, I just think he deserves the recognition, and I wholeheartedly hope that tally is done before the playoffs and they get to give him the trophy at home. I don't know if they will
Mhm.
do that, but I hope they do because
Uh,
he deserves the recognition.
yeah, I think it depends on whether they do that award show because I know they haven't done it the past 2 years with COVID, but I assume it'll be back, and if it is back, like, it'd be cool to see Marcus Smart accept the award on a stage and you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that,
I
like, do a
disagree.
speech and stuff.
I think that would be the lamest thing ever.
Alright, well, fair enough, but yeah, I'm not worried about the Nets. Obviously, you got that little twinge of doubt because they have 2 great players, but I think the Celtics will handle them in 6. I don't wanna say 5 because KD's that good, but
I
I
hope you're
yeah.
correct. I think it's going to be a big pain in the ass. I think they might have to play 7 games. I think it's going to be a stressful experience as a fan. Come out, please. Just put an end to all of it. Come out game one, slap them. Come out
I'll put
game
it this
two,
way,
win. Go ahead.
I think the Celtics are capable of blowing out the Nets.
I hope so.
I don't think the Nets are capable of blowing out the Celtics.
I don't know.
Because
I
I'll put it this
think
way, I'll put it this way. The Celtics have the defensive manpower to hold the Nets to under 100 points. The Nets cannot hold the Celtics to under 110, and I saw this, I think it was Steve Bulpett who wrote it. If the Nets are to win
I
the
saw this.
series, they will need the Celtics to help them win the series by playing
Yes.
poorly. If the Celtics play the way they've been playing, they will not lose. They
I
cannot lose
I
because
believe like
they
the tagline was the Nets can't beat the Celtics, but the Celtics can lose to the Nets. Or it
yes,
was
that
like
is
the Celtics can lose to the Nets, but the Nets can't beat them. That's what it was.
exactly. That is 100% facts. If Jason Tatum and the Celtics collapse and decide they want to play the basketball that wasn't working for them at the beginning of the year, the Nets are going to win the series. But if the Celtics play even a shell of the basketball they played to the end of the year, they will not lose. And I stand by that. And if this comes back to bite me in the ass, fine. But the Nets are not a good defensive team. I'm going to keep going back to it. We always say the two things in the playoffs that matter are stars and defense.
Sure.
Stars and defense. Both teams have stars. One team has defense.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's what I say. That's where
I like
that's where I
that.
land.
See, that makes me feel better. I just have this feeling. It's just probably me being an anxious fan, as I always am this time of the year. I always am very nervous. I mean, shit, Jack. I went to church 2 years ago,
I
in
remember
the
this.
conference finals
Didn't work.
because and it did not work, so I've not been back. Uh, for the first time since being confirmed. So there you go. I mean, I do things in the playoffs because I get nervous,
Maybe
and I
this year
also thought it was hilarious.
you need to do the opposite of church because that didn't work.
Should I try into other religion? Every game I try a new religion.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Speaking of
whichever one
religions,
works.
this is actually an interesting segue.
Uh,
Ramadan.
oh, we don't have
Ramadan.
to talk about
No,
this.
no, this is actually important because it's on both
Okay.
sides. So
Oh, okay.
Kyrie and Jalen Brown are both, from what is my understanding, is Muslim. They are Muslims. So
Mhm.
from April 2nd to May 1st is Ramadan. If you don't know Ramadan, uh, you are not allowed to eat I don't think,
Mhm.
or drink while the sun is up. You have to
Religious
fast.
fasting, I believe.
Religious fasting.
If I said
Game
that
1 is at
incorrectly, I
3:30
apologize,
on
but
Sunday. It's in the middle of the day. These guys are gonna have to play basketball without having a drink of water. How is that gonna work?
mhm.
That's
Hey,
insane.
man, respect. I mean, you power through it if that's what you believe in. I respect that you're able to do that and still perform at a high level. I know Ennis Cantor did it, or sorry, Ennis Freedom did it, for a while, and
Well,
he
he's a
did it
true warrior.
successfully. All right, my point is, um, if that's what you believe in and you're able to play basketball through that, like, respect. I don't think I would be able to do that.
No, that's
Um,
what I'm saying.
that's amazing. It's
That's
incredible, but
it's incredible. It's unfortunate for those guys that it happens to be this time of year because it rotates.
yeah.
From my understanding,
Oh, does it?
so next year I think it'll be May and then June, so on. But this year it happens to be this timetable, April to May. Oh, that's insane. Imagine,
When
I
is
mean, I
yeah.
know people that get tired playing basketball at a minimal level. Imagine being at the top level and you're in the playoffs and you have to give more than you would in a regular season game and you can't even have a drink of water. More power to those
Yeah.
guys.
It kinda moves back and forth. It's usually around March to May-ish. It's sometime in between them from what I'm looking at. Yeah, no, it's crazy though. Respect. Like, again, if that's what you believe in and that's what you are, not inclined to do, it's just your religion, like, respect, more power to you. That's awesome,
That
but
truly is
yeah.
insane. I'm just
That's incredible feat.
And if you're betting, bet the under on those guys. They're totals. Because I I
I don't
I
hey,
can't imagine I would be able to do well, I mean, I'm not a professional athlete, but I would not be able to do, any physical activity to the level I can do
Kyrie dropped
physical
30
activity.
something in the play-in.
Yeah, but
Like,
I'm talking about Sunday, because Sunday, it's a day game. I believe he was able to at least, like, drink in that playing game because the sun was down by then.
no, I don't think so because the game
At
started at
least in the
7.
second half it was.
Oh, I guess
I
maybe
mean,
he ate
it's
something in the
not
second
June
half.
yet. It's not going till 9 p.m. That's
That's
nuts.
crazy. Yeah, no,
That
it's
that is
insane.
something those guys are gonna have to endure.
It's wild. I think that about covers the Celtics Nets preview. Do you want to look at some other matchups around the league for our last couple minutes here?
Oh, hold on. Because I wanna go
What else
into
you
a
got
little bit
first?
more. Yeah, because I am very stressed about this series. Not because it's just my nature in the playoffs. Every game I'm sitting there on edge and like, oh man, they lose this one, they could lose the next one, which is not the way players think about this, by the way. They think one game at a
Yeah,
time. But as a fan, that's just how you typically are inclined to think, and you feel like every home game is going to be a win for either side. So like you're like, oh man, like game one Sunday, blah blah blah. They get a win. I mean, listen to me. I'm saying they need to blow them out, so I don't have to listen to people talk about it. But I'll tell you what, if they win this series, oh, the absolute like bashing Kyrie on Twitter from everybody is going to be unreal. The absolute like euphoria amongst the fan base is going to be something else. It's going to
if they
be an
win the series.
experience if they win the series, if they bounce them.
Mhm.
If the Celtics win handedly, say they win in 5 or something and it's at home, the sending off of that team, like see you later. Oh my god, the fans are going to give it to them.
Eh,
That more than anything is what I'm looking forward to, just see what's going to happen with all this. How is the reaction going to be? Now if they lose, it's going to suck. I gotta say
Yeah.
that's part of the reason I'm really nervous. It's really gonna suck. But if they win, my goodness, prepare yourself. I mean, I'll be in on the
I
fun. You
agree.
you bet I'll be in on the fun.
Yeah, I'm confident. I'm supremely confident. I'm not worried about the
I'm
Nets.
glad you feel that way. I don't. And I'm not
Mhm.
saying I know more than you. I just in my stomach I don't feel good.
I'm more
I get
worried
that
about the
feeling in my
Bucks.
stomach.
I'm more scared of the Bucks in round 2, even
Well,
though I
we
know the
gotta get
Celtics
there
play the Bucks
first.
well. They're yeah, very true.
Hopefully that's a
So do the
conversation we get
Bucks.
to have.
So do the Bucks. Bucks also
Hopefully
have to
we
get
get to
there.
say, all right, game one against Milwaukee is coming up. We got to preview it. I hope that's a conversation we have in the coming weeks.
Imagine the scenes. Now, just live with me in my fantasy world for a second here, Sam. Imagine the scenes. Celtics win in 5.
That's what I'm saying.
Milwaukee. Wait, no, no, no. Milwaukee loses in 7.
Oh man.
Fantasy world. Just imagine the fantasy world. How beautiful would life be? How beautiful, like, how amazing would that be?
And you talk about a cakewalk. But if Chicago somehow beating Milwaukee, you don't have
Yeah,
a
yeah,
cakewalk on
yeah.
your hands.
And they're pretty good at that point.
Unless, like,
No, yeah.
3 guys,
Yeah.
like, get COVID or something, like Giannis, Middleton, Holiday all
Oh,
get
yeah,
COVID
no.
or some, like, crazy thing that would make them sit out, like an injury, which not saying we want that, but that's what it would take for Chicago to win.
You know what we could do for the rest of this episode? We could make our playoff predictions.
Sure. Yeah, let's do that.
Alright, let me get my iPad. You keep talking about the Nets for 2 seconds while I grab this.
Oh my gosh. I swear, you wanna talk about Sam getting the ultimate dopamine hit. You give me the fans having at Kyrie in a blowout closeout win at the Garden. That's something you go back on YouTube, you watch. That guy was an absolute prick on his way out. He's been a prick since he stepped on the logo, which we have not talked about yet. I know Jack does not care about it, but I do. And I feel like as a fan, most of the fans do care. If they get to crap on the guy for like a whole fourth quarter because the game's over, it's going to be something to remember. And also, I will say this, Jack. One thing that makes me feel good, and we haven't mentioned this yet, I feel like if things get hard for the Nets, they're going to quit.
Really? Why is that?
Yes. I just think there's so many excuses of they don't have Joe Harris, Ben Simmons is screwing around there, like the supporting cast isn't good enough. There's just so many things that those two guys at the top can get frustrated with to the point where it makes them want to quit. I feel like I could see that happening. And we've seen Kyrie quit in the playoffs before. Firsthand experience. It's no fun.
I cannot find my charger. Ah, there it is. Okay. I'm good to go now. Got this.
If you're not plugging the charger in the laptop while you do, well, you don't use a laptop, you use a desktop.
No.
Well, if you aren't plugging it in, you're doing it wrong.
I've
My
got
iPad, by the way, I'm also on the iPad bandwagon. You take this bad boy off the charger, it dies faster than I don't know. You step on a bug or something. I didn't have the punchline set up on that one, but it dies
You didn't
fast.
have
I
it.
mean, you're asking that thing to go into some serious labor if you want it to stay alive without the charger.
Yes, sir. All right. So playoff predictions.
All right.
Let me get a new document open here.
Are we
We'll go
doing
east,
game
west. We'll go all
totals
the
as
way through.
well?
Yeah, sure. We'll go all the way
Okay.
through, and we'll see how we did round by round. We can make new predictions as we go, but I feel like this will be fun. So, you want to go? You want to go first, round by
Sure.
round?
Yeah. Yeah, we can go first.
All right. You want to start in
Um,
the east?
yeah. Yeah, all right.
Okay.
We'll go round by round though. So first round on both sides.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So, Miami versus.
It's gonna
Does it
be Atlanta.
matter?
It's gonna
Okay.
be
We'll just
Atlanta.
say
And if
Atlanta
it's
slash
Cleveland, they'll
Cleveland.
win in 4, Miami. Uh,
Okay, but
if it's Atlanta, they're gonna win in Miami wins in 6. I think.
okay. So you go Miami in 6.
Yes.
Miami in 6, and then we've got what is it? What would be next on that bracket? Philly, Toronto, because
Philly,
they would play.
Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah. What
That
do you
one
got
might
there?
go 7.
Okay.
That
So what
one
do you
might
got?
go 7. I think Philly will win, but I think it's gonna be tough for Philly.
So Philly in 7.
Yeah. What
Okay.
do you think so far?
We'll get to that. We'll do me next. We'll do. I'll
Okay.
go next. I'll go next. I'll
Let's
save our
let's hang
predictions.
Sam out to dry.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
him look like a
Well,
damn fool.
if we want, you can do the
No.
East and I'll do the East, or we can
No,
do.
no,
We'll
no.
both give our
We could
predictions for each
yeah.
series.
Yeah.
If you
That's
want to do
fine.
that, you want to do that. Like I'll tell you my prediction after you.
No,
Like,
you can go through after me.
okay.
Okay.
Milwaukee, Chicago.
That's Milwaukee in 4. They might as well just not play the series.
Okay. And then Boston, Brooklyn, obviously.
I think the Celtics might have to win in 7 games. That's
Okay.
nervous Sam talking, but I don't disagree with you where I just said I think you could make Brooklyn quit. I don't know. I just don't know. There's too many variables for me. I think 7 is the safe choice for that, but I think the Celtics can absolutely win. It's just going to be a
Alrighty.
massive pain in the ass.
Phoenix versus Clippers, Pelicans.
Well, all right. So this is where the variables come in. So if it's the Pelicans, by some miracle, they'll be swept. If it is the Clippers, depending on then you want to get crazy. I mean, Kawhi could come back. I still think Phoenix will win, but if it's the Clippers, it's probably 6.
Okay. Phoenix in 6.
Yes.
Then it'd be 4-5, which is Dallas, Utah, right?
Ooh, Dallas in 5. No, 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 no. No, I'm sorry, because Luca.
He's
Uh,
questionable, yeah.
is there a
He's
timetable on him? They said
No, I don't think there
indefinitely.
has been one. Yeah,
I'll say I'll
I
say
can't
Dallas.
imagine he'd miss it, but yeah.
I say Dallas wins in 6 games. I think that Utah team is a disaster. They all hate each other,
Mhm.
and this might be the last season for that team. So I think
Yep,
Dallas will win that pretty comfortably.
alrighty. Golden State, Denver. Steph Curry, by the way, said he hasn't ruled out a game 1 return on the Draymond
Okay.
Green pod. I believe that's what I saw. He said very optimistic that he'll be able to play in game 1, is what he told
Okay.
Draymond.
All right. Well, I'd say Warriors win that one in 6, maybe 5.
Going
Denver
6 or
team's
5.
not bad, but they still don't have their Jamal Murray or Porter Jr.
Okay, so you going 6 or 5 games.
Just do 6. That
Alright,
altitude might be a pain in their ass in game 4, 3 and 4.
true. Alright, Memphis, Minnesota.
Hmm. I think the Grizzlies are nasty. That Minnesota team's not bad either. I think you're gonna get
They're fun.
Grizzlies in 6.
Okay,
All right.
Memphis in 6. Do you want me to do round 1 now, or do you
Yes.
wanna go through the rest of yours?
Now you
Alright,
go.
so Miami, Atlanta, is first. Miami versus I'm just assuming Atlanta. I mean, maybe it could be Cleveland,
Yeah.
but
And if it's Cleveland, though, it'll be a sweep. It'll be a
yeah,
sweep.
I'll go Miami in 5 regardless.
Okay.
I think they're a
A lot
good
of
team.
credit you're giving the Cavs, giving them a game.
Well, that was more just to be safe, hovering in between the 6 and the 4 for the Cavs, but, Philly, Toronto, I'm going Toronto in 7.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think Philly's gonna come out of that first round. I don't think they will face a
I
good seed though.
I don't know, man. I think they will. I we're on the same page. It's going to be a grueling series, though.
Mhm. It's not gonna be easy. Milwaukee, Milwaukee, Chicago.
Might
I
as well
can't
be
speak.
Charlotte.
Yeah, that's 4. Milwaukee's winning in 4. I don't think, yeah. And then Boston, Brooklyn. I think Boston wins in 6.
All right.
Uh,
Positivity.
Boston in 6. Um, then Phoenix versus LAC slash, excuse me, New Orleans. I think Phoenix sweeps no matter what.
Wow.
I think they're
Even
just
even
filthy.
with returns to the
Yeah,
Clippers?
yeah. I think
Really?
they sweep. I just think they sweep. I don't think Kawhi will come back regardless, but even if he does, I think they sweep.
Yes.
Um, what's next? Why am I blanking? It would
You've
be
got the
Dallas,
Dallas.
Dallas, Utah. Oh, my Apple pencil thing died. Okay, that's fine. Dallas, Utah. I think depending on obviously Luca's return, I'm gonna go. If Luca was playing, I was gonna go. I had Dallas in 4, but I'll go Dallas in 6 just in case. But if Luca plays in game 1, they're gonna sweep the Jazz. I'll
All
tell
right,
you
there you
that.
go.
Um, Next up is Golden State, Denver. I think I don't think Jamal or MPJ comes back for the Nuggets. I think that could obviously have an effect, but I don't think either of them will come back. I'll go Golden State in 7. I think this goes 7.
Really? You think that's a grueling one? Well,
I
I had
do.
to stick with my boys out there. I had to give them the benefit of the doubt. My
I think it could
Warriors.
go 6, but I think the Nuggets or sorry, let me rephrase. I think Jokic is just that good. I think he's he's that guy. And then Memphis, Minnesota. I think Memphis wins as well, but I think it'll go 6. I don't know if you said 6 as well. You
I think I
said
did. I said 6.
6. Yeah, I think Memphis will win in 6. I think they had some playoff experience last year, and I know the Timberwolves also have inexperience, but I think it's just a tough series. Like they're just both 2 tough teams.
Yeah.
All right, so then that leaves you with you have Miami, Philly.
Yep. You have Miami, Toronto. I will
Yep.
pick. Oh, I'll take Miami. I think that one would be a pretty grueling series as well. I think that might go
7.
7. Yeah.
All right.
I think that I just don't know how to feel about the Philly team there. I'm not sure. I think
Okay.
they are the biggest like window of how good versus how bad they could be. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
they have
Like
the biggest room
you've got
margin for
people
error.
picking them to come out of the
Yeah.
conference or you picking them to lose to Toronto, which is not unrealistic.
Yeah. I
But
think,
yes,
also for my Miami Toronto series, I'll take Miami in 7 as well. I think Toronto would take them 7. I really like Toronto, but I think Miami's better. Um, then you have Milwaukee, Boston.
mm, I will take the Celtics, of course, and I
Yep.
will take them in 7 games. I think that would be a absolute grueling series to be a part of.
Mhm.
Back to back grueling series.
Yep. I'll also take Boston in 7. I think they play Milwaukee well, and they'd have home court.
They'll be at the Garden. Yes, they will.
Exactly. So then that's huge. I said that before the playoffs. I
And
think I would
Rob
rather
should be back for the
for most of the
contest.
series, most of it, I would say.
Well, he might be back
You
in
will
this one,
then
so
have Phoenix, Dallas.
that'll be Phoenix in probably 6 games. I
Phoenix in
will
6.
say it could go I'm gonna say 6, but it could go 7 because Dallas has been pretty hot. They've
Mhm.
been almost at the Celtics level of being hot.
If Luka plays at full health this series, I think Dallas wins in 7.
Of Phoenix?
Yeah,
Wow.
but if he doesn't, I think Phoenix wins.
Okay.
So, what are we basing it on? Like, are we assuming Luka's healthy, or are we assuming he's not?
I am. I think by then
Okay.
he's gonna be healthy.
So if I'm gonna say if Luka plays Dallas in 7, and if not, Phoenix is gonna win in 6 if Luka is not healthy for some of it. I
Luka's a
think
real
that's
prick,
it's that
man.
that big of a difference. Yeah, he's that good. That leaves you with Golden State, Memphis.
Oh boy, that is a tough one. I like both those teams.
Yep.
But I will say this. I think the Warriors would win. I think it would go 7. I just think they've got too much experience there. Too many players that have been there before, been a part of those championship teams to
Yep.
really get punked. But I think Memphis is a fantastic team.
Yeah. Um, I think I'd lean Memphis in 7 though. I think that would be a very tough series. I think they're just more well-rounded. I think they play better. It's crazy for me to say they play better as a team than Golden State, but I think Golden State has
Well, the
less
record
room for
without
error.
Josh shows that
Yeah,
for
they have
sure.
less room for error. All right, then that leaves you with a Boston Miami conference finals, Sam. Oh
Yes.
baby.
I think if they get that far, the Celtics may be red hot by then. They would have
Yeah.
Rob back. I think
You
they would
have
win
them
in
coming off
6.
2 7-game series,
I know.
so you
I
got
think I
Boston in
think if they
6.
get that series, they're winning in 6.
Okay. I think I also have that. I think they'd take them 7, but I think Boston would win.
I
Which
think they
means
would if given the opportunity, they would close it out at the Garden at game
this is
6.
gonna be a tough, tough, tough road for the Celtics.
Oh, yeah. No one's, hot take there, Jack. Very
Yeah,
tough
this
road.
is it's tough. That leaves you with Phoenix, Golden State in the conference
Oh,
finals.
boy. Oh, man. I think that's Phoenix in 6.
Okay. Phoenix in 6. That leaves me with Phoenix/Dallas versus Memphis. I think whoever wins Dallas or Phoenix will win the West. So
Yep.
I'll put and I think they'd win it in 7 games. I think it would take them 7 to get out of the, series with Memphis, but I think it would be Phoenix or Dallas. So I'll go Phoenix or Dallas in 7. And then that leaves us with Phoenix, Boston, right?
Oh,
Pretty much both
jeez.
of us.
I
Which
mean, you get that far, you gotta pick the fellas. That is
yeah,
Celtics. You hang the banner. Uh,
outside me being Celtics podcast man, Celtics in 6 or 7, me being NBA fan, Phoenix. But you didn't hear that from me.
you think it would be close?
Yeah, I think Phoenix would win in 6 or 7. I think the series would go 6 or 7 regardless. I think Phoenix will be heavily, heavily favored. Um, I just especially if they get that far. I also don't think Phoenix will get that far if Luke is healthy. I think I think Dallas has been good enough where they'll get there. And I think
I
this
would hate
year,
to play Dallas. I would hate to play Dallas in a
yep.
playoff series.
If this is my hot take, and I'm saying this on April 14th, 2022, this year is the foreshadowing of the start of the Celtics versus Mavericks finals era.
Hmm.
I'm telling you that now.
Well, I'll hate that.
I'm telling you that right now. And I think it's going to be Luca versus Tatum. That's going to be the conversation for a long, long time. I think in the next 10 years, those 2 are gonna meet in the finals 4 or 5 times. I'll I'll leave it
I
there.
hope so. I hope the
That's what I
Celtics get
got.
there 4 or 5 times. I do not like playing
That's what I
against
got.
Luka.
I think this is the foreshadowing of that. No, he's good. You can't doubt him, but I think that's what the next era of basketball is going to be, and I think Ja's gonna have his moments. I think Devin Booker's gonna have his moments. I think, Giannis is gonna get there. I think this is the beginning of the Dallas versus Boston era.
Wow.
So I'll leave it there.
All right.
But that's
Bookmark
all
it,
I got.
Jack.
That's all I got. That's all I got for today. Anything
Yeah,
else you want
we
to say?
we went a good length here.
We did.
Next time you hear from us, we might have a break here, Jack, depending on your
I'll bring my
vacation.
mic in case I can record there, but we might have a little break here.
Yes,
I'm going
Jack is
away.
going on vacation.
Yep. But yeah, that's all I got. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll throw it over to Sam.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're probably on Guy Boston or Bannertown. If you are, make sure you subscribe. If you're on Guy Boston, you can catch us 30 minutes before every game. Jeez, man. It'll be an assortment of Jack, me, Tim, or KJ. I will not be there for game 2. I'm not sure Jack will be there for game 1. But somebody will be there, hopefully. Make sure you subscribe again. And if you're listening on whatever streaming service, make sure you follow us. That way you don't have to wait for Jack to tweet the pods out. You can follow Jack for when he does tweet the pods out and all his articles that he does at Jackson1NBA. And you can follow me at Sam France NBA for me to complain about whatever I'm watching. That's our show for
Taco, come on.
Taco's having some fun here.